Episode 9 of the Woke-ish podcast. This is Ebony.
And this is Zelma.
And we have some very special guests joining us for this episode from the Social Complex podcast. Can y'all please introduce yourselves to the listeners?
Man, I always suck at intros, man. For real, this is Peabody, a.k.a. Social P, your favorite podcaster, man. What's going on?
And this is your boy Marcus, a.k.a. Bespoke God. How y'all doing?
Oh, Bespoke God.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
We don't have cool names.
Yeah,
I just realized that.
For real?
Just Ebony.
So I guess you don't follow me on social media.
I follow your podcast.
Yeah.
Actually, lucky, Ebony might be my cool name because Ebony's not my first name. So it could be
cool.
that could be my nickname. We call you Z.
That's true.
So when y'all have y'all podcasts, how do they find y'all individually?
I think our names are tagged in the bio, but people don't. I don't think that nobody has really followed me from there. Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's cool.
Yeah.
You gotta tell people to start following you.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. But yes, thank you so much. We're so happy to have you to join us for the conversation that we're having today. And so, for those of y'all who have been alive these last 3 days, Nipsey Hussle was murdered on Sunday. And so for today's topic, we'll be talking about double standards and how we think about violence in inner cities. I hate the way that sounds, but like predominantly Black and brown communities, and how we talk about conversations when the violence comes from the police versus when it comes from within our community. Mm-hmm. But before we get there, we will start with our shout out segment.
Yeah, so we dug deep to find some shout outs for this week. So the first one I wanted to highlight is to the Prime Minister of New Zealand, Jacinda Ardern. She is the world's youngest female leader, and she's going to become the second woman in history to give birth while she's elected head of state, which is insane. And then she's going to become the first elected leader to take maternity leave. So she's going to take her maternity leave while she's head of state. So no one's ever done that before.
Where would she go?
She's going to raise her baby.
But, what does maternity leave look like when your job is...
For real?
Like, she probably won't be traveling.
Okay.
That's an important job, though, right?
Speaking events. That's,
yeah.
Probably stuff like that.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we don't know how long the maternity leave will be. It might just be...
It's about 7 weeks, probably.
7 weeks?
Yeah, 7 weeks. I mean, typically, like a mom gives birth, they're out for about a whole month or two.
A whole month.
Usually like 3 months.
No, yeah, 2-3 months.
And so she was also announced that New Zealand would ban all military-style semi-automatic weapons and assault rifles in the wake of the mosque shooting. So if you remember, we touched on it last week. There was a shooting at a mosque where over 50 people died. And so a couple of days later, she banned all assault.
Yeah, which is the right thing to do.
Yeah, which is, so countries can do that.
That'll never happen here.
No,
never did.
It won't. And then our second shout out goes to the entire U.S. women's soccer team because they are suing U.S. soccer for accusing it of gender discrimination. The complaint filed in California, of course, argues that the U.S. soccer has a policy and practice of discriminating against members of the women's national team on the basis of gender by paying them less than similarly situated members of the men's team. Yeah. So the women's team actually is more successful. They're better. Mm-hmm. And the men's team failed to make the
World Cup.
Yeah, they weren't even in it. Yeah. So it's crazy. In this country, it makes sense that we would pay men more who do less than women.
But not for soccer, though. Soccer.
What's the?
I caught that. Yeah.
I was like, no.
Hella sarcastic.
But no. What's the girl's name? Hope Solo.
Hope Solo.
Yeah.
The goalie.
Yeah, she's super dope. I met her one time before.
Oh, cool.
Super cool. Yeah.
Yeah, so shout out to them. You know, if you're getting fucked over and you sue the company, and I don't know what's gonna come of it, but at least like they're making noise about it.
Yeah, and then isn't today National Equal Pay Day?
Yes, it is, and
That's
so
perfect time to make
it's like so much shit happened that I was like, I can't even. There's no energy left to be mad about being a woman today because it just sucks. I'm
not really that sad about gender today.
Yeah, not today. So that wraps up our shout out segment.
We have priorities.
I respect
It's
that.
a ranking system. Okay, so now we'll jump into our In the Know segment.
Extra, read all about it.
Okay, so now for our In the Know segment.
Yes, a lot of shit this week. Okay, so we're going to start with the acquittal in the murder of Antoine Rose Jr. Michael Rosefeld, 30, which is insane that a 30-year-old, like, at how young some of these cops are. He's a former, now officer in East Pittsburgh, was found not guilty of homicide in the 2018 shooting of Antoine Rose Jr. So to refresh, because there's been so many incidents of police shootings, that sadly we have to refresh you guys on which one we're talking about. Antoine Rose Jr. was a 17-year-old high school student who was in the front seat of an unlicensed taxi cab when the backseat passenger rolled down a window and shot at two men on the streets. Rose was shot as he and another teen ran away during a traffic stop from a vehicle matching the description of the one involved in the shooting, police said. Rose was unarmed at the time. Video of the incident captured by a bystander and posted online triggered a series of protests in the Pittsburgh area last year that included a late-night march that shut down a major highway. Protesters gathered at an intersection called Freedom Corner in the City Hills District neighborhood, the historic center of Black cultural life in Pittsburgh, as a result of the not guilty verdict. Shots were fired into the Pennsylvania office of the attorney for the white police officer who was acquitted in the fatal shooting of the unarmed black teen. And I keep wanting to say he was unarmed because I think that's the narrative that the police wanted to put out before was that he was dangerous, and they didn't know that he was unarmed. And protests over the victim continued. No one was hurt in the drive-by shooting, apparently directed at the office of the attorney of the police officer. So yet another acquittal in the murder of an unarmed black man, of an unarmed black child, because he was 17.
It seemed like all young black men are considered dangerous to white America, so that's just, it's like, that's a stigma that they've placed upon us to give them some type of justification for the unarmed killings, and it's just ridiculous, you know, to shoot that little kid in the back as he was running away. What did y'all read? Because I didn't read up on it about the acquittal, but did they say like why no charges were brought up against him?
From what I heard was that they felt like the approach that he took was justified. So not that the kid was, so basically running away, it kind of signifies some fault to them.
Wow.
So I think that it's basically the approach that they take, right, is that that they have to have kind of like indisputable evidence to indict. And in the absence of that.
What was the area that he was in?
Somewhere in Philadelphia.
Somewhere
Pittsburgh.
So I'm assuming like the hood, probably, most likely.
Maybe,
Just call it what it is.
But there's no reason that cops should supposed to pull their gun if they feel like their life is in danger.
This is true.
If I'm running away from you, why shoot? Why would you shoot?
I've always said this.
It baffles me.
You put cops in the situations that they should be in. Like, I'd rather me see a black cop that I've seen before or that I was raised with.
Patrolling that area.
Yeah, don't put people in a area, in a place where they're not known or they don't know. And
that cop he had a history, like he was new to the force, but he had already got in trouble before for some type of racial incident.
It was like 2 weeks or something crazy.
Seriously.
And he
but before the incident.
he
had
graduated from the academy.
Right.
As a black man, I'm gonna just say this: It's hard, yeah. It's hard when you wake up. It's hard when you're at work.
Yeah.
It's hard when, you know, like your woman argues with you. And it's just hard all around. And not to be funny about it, but we have a target on our back every day.
Yeah.
Every day.
It's funny. I just got pulled over. Like I think it's about 2 weeks ago now. So where I live, there's a Kroger's like right at the end of the block. Like you can walk to the Kroger's. I went to a Kroger's one late night to grab something. Coming back home. So how it's set up, like if you're coming down the street, I have to make like a U-turn, and then the apartments are right there, the entrance. So as I'm making the U-turn, there's an office building, and it looks like 2 or 3 cop cars. It looked like they were doing an arrest or something. I'm pulling into my apartments, and the lights flash behind me. So the cop pulls me over in my complex. Turned out I had one of my headlights was out. I didn't know. My car doesn't have a headlight indicator. So okay, so it's cool. He pulls me over. So he's checking my insurance, my license. So I'm sitting there because I know I'm not doing nothing wrong. And you got the cop over here. Then I see another cop come up on my passenger side window and peek down with his flashlight like this. Like it's kind of I paid him no mind, but like in that instant, like all like what we're talking about now, it flashed in my head of like, yeah, he's like you wonder what they really think of you in that moment. Like I'm pulling into an apartment complex and you pull me over for a headlight, but yeah, your partner felt the need to come around to my passenger side to peek into my window. So
And the most irritating part of all of this is that they know what the perception is of them and they don't care. They know that. I mean, they incite fear.
It's power.
And they don't. It's not like they're not doing it. They're doing nothing to mitigate that. They aren't like, oh, let's try to make our job more transparent. Let's try to make ourselves more transparent to the Black community. No, like they enjoy that power. They enjoy that fear that they incite, and that's.
Yeah, and the fact that you have white men like shooting at police officers, and then like being like Dylan Roof, like and then being brought in, like negotiating, making sure that they're okay.
Right.
White
mental illness.
Yeah, white people saying I'm gonna shoot myself, and police being like no. Whereas if it was someone else, like you wouldn't even be alive. Not long enough to be able to do that. You would be dead because they would have feared you. So it's so called.
I've seen videos of like white men like cussing out police, getting out the car, slamming their door, walking up to cops at their car like I gotta go to work. Why are you holding me up? They do nothing.
I mean, one of the things that I've learned about my partner, who's white, is that white people are taught to have this confidence that people of color aren't. And so, like, the tags in the car I was driving are expired. And the dealership said, oh, we messed up, so we're just going to mail you new ones. So, I guess I was just going to have to drive around with expired tags. And I told my partner, I don't want to do that. I'm going to get pulled over, and I want to limit the amount of interaction I have with cops because I don't trust them. And he's like, well, if they pull you over, just explain. Tell them that the dealership messed up. And I was just like, it just, in my mind, it's one of those moments where I'm like, wow, in his life, it just occurs to him that you could just talk to a police officer. Worlds. Yeah, and it was just like, it's just those moments when you're like, man, white people are really taught. Like, that's why they say, oh, well, they have all these, like, reasonable, like, quote-unquote reasonable, like, well, he should have done this and he should have done that. It's because in their world, they're treated so differently that they're like, well, if I'm treated this way, everyone's treated this way, so it doesn't make sense why a cop would be mean to anyone.
They have options.
Yeah. And they see the cops, they legitimately see the cops as, like, public servants. Like, you work for me. My taxes pay you. Like, we don't... Yeah, we can't afford to view the cops.
I see the cops in that light. Like I'm around my people. If you ask me to go to Midtown, I'm alert. It's not my surroundings, but if I'm around my Black people, I can do whatever. I think, in my own personal opinion, like before, you put the cops in certain situations that they feel comfortable in. Don't put somebody who's new to the force. 2 weeks before had a whole incident and put him in a Black neighborhood. He's not going to do good. He doesn't understand.
It's like they're itching to pull the trigger.
Exactly.
Like, I don't know about you, but like at night when I'm in my car, my wallet is Like I keep it like in the like console, a cup holder,
Mm-hmm.
like when I'm driving at night all the time now.
Yeah.
Like I make it a habit. You never know. I mean, may not get pulled over, but just in case at one time it does happen, you know,
Yeah.
doing this at 9, 10
thought
o'clock
about
at
that.
night. Yeah, man, I keep it in the cup holder just in case if I get pulled over, right here.
Yeah.
You know, unfortunately that's just the world we live in where black and brown people, we have to take those type of precautions. So.
Yeah, and I really do think that and it's like what I've learned from like being around white people that I would never be around, were it not for the relationship I was in, is that white people really need to be told no one lives like we don't live like you. And so that like my brother just got a new car, and I had to have a conversation that was like, okay, you're gonna get pulled over because this car is new and you're big and you're brown. And you need to, if a cop like gets in your face, you have to like calm down and not do this. And it's like, white people don't have to have those conversations about a new car. They would never think to be like, oh, okay, well that's something I have to tell my son. And so I just think that one of the ways that I think that it helps in us sharing stories, personal stories, not only about people dying, but about the everyday interactions that we have with police officers that make us uncomfortable, to the fact that I can say, like, as a woman of color, if I was in need, I would be scared to call a cop, even if I needed help.
Wow.
And I think, like, in my experience, sharing that with people has really impacted them in somewhat way that I think can be helpful. So I'm really glad we're having these conversations that our listeners, whether they be white, whether they be brown, whether they be black, can kind of relate or learn from each other to be like, one, we live in different worlds. That's something I don't have to encounter. Or two, like me, I thought this was normal. I thought everyone did this. And when I learned that white people don't have to do this, I learned that we live in two different countries. Yeah. And that's also like not cool. And that needs to be changed too. But you don't notice that because we just have such different experiences. We assume our experience is the same.
Yeah.
Question, you and your partner, he's white, you said, correct? Mm-hmm. Do you have to teach him sometimes or on like a daily basis?
Yeah. So I was undocumented, and I have to teach him about so I lost my proof of citizenship. And he was like, well, just, you have your driver's license. And I had to tell him, no, without that paper, I can't prove that I belong in this country. And I just have to explain. Even lawyers have told me, even if you have a passport, even if you have a driver's license, like you need that piece of paper. And without that, they can detain you, even if you're a citizen. So I told him, like, I would be arrested. They don't care that I speak English. And so I do have to explain. And so what I do now, like the story with my brother, I tell that to my partner. I said, my brother got a new car, and I have to talk to him about this. Or I say, our son is Hispanic, so he's going to encounter things that you never did. He's going to have people, because he speaks Spanish, look at him or tell him, this is America, we speak English. That's something you've never had to encounter, and now he will because I have. So yeah, it's a lot of teaching moments, and it takes a lot of energy, like a lot of emotional energy for me to like have to. And we have an episode where we talk about interracial relationships, because it's like, I think we romanticize it a lot, and a lot of white people are just like, I have black friends, I have brown friends.
I hate that, yeah.
And it's like, yeah, but they're not really. So, and one of the things I told my partner is like, your black friends aren't really your friends. They don't consider you their friend. And it's because, and I was like, when do you see them? At work? They're not your friends. Do you hang out with them? Have you met their family? Do you go to restaurants with them? Like, I just tell him all these.
Talk to you about racism?
Yeah. And so,
Good point.
No, so his exposure through my friends,
I never noticed that.
Now he's like, Ebony's my friend, and I'm like, okay, Ebony is like
more.
Yeah, I was like, Ebony is more your friend than all the black people you've ever known in your life, because you actually have, like, he knows about her experiences in a way that he didn't about other people. And honestly, it's because I think he didn't care. And so if, like, white people don't care about you, then they really aren't going to go through the trouble of getting to know you.
Wow, bro. I have 2 white friends, and they've never met my people before.
Yeah, are they your friends?
I mean, I consider them, yeah. I mean, they bought me my daughter's clothes for, like, the baby shower.
Okay.
So
Yeah, no, like share
But
more.
do you hang out with them? Not
Yeah,
not what they
yeah.
bought.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I like hang out with them. I've met his mom and his dad.
Okay.
They actually called me because he was in like a coma. I was the first person that they
Okay.
called.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
I remember you told me that.
Yeah, so I mean, to me, I consider him like my brother.
Okay. Well, you should share more about those the shitty part of being a person of color in the U.S. Because in seeing how like his mom was totally just unaware about some of the like someone's called me a wetback before.
Yeah.
And she was just like, you? Like, no. And
Yeah.
I was like, yeah. Like, I remember vividly being like 14 and having someone call me a wetback. And it's just like, and in sharing that, that's how she's able to say. And I hear her tell people like, oh, my daughter-in-law, like, she's so great, but people don't like her because she's undocumented, and that's not right. And I'm like, oh, wow, I didn't think that resonated with her in a way to be like, that was just an experience for me. And she took that to kind of to heart. So
I think for me, it's when he had like his coma, his parents called me ASAP and they said, "Hey, can you come to the hospital?" And I never embraced white people love me like that hard. Like they hugged me, they cooked food for me, and they wanted me to sleep over. It's like, "Hey, Eric wants to see you." The last name he said was your name. His name is Eric and my name is Eric. So
what's Peabody?
So Peabody is
his last name.
Yeah, Peabody.
Okay, that's what I thought.
It's
when
my
you
last
said it,
name.
I was like, I don't want to. I mean, like you're from the South, like so I just thought maybe it was a Southern thing.
Nah,
Okay,
Peabody is my actual name.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
I thought your name was Peabody. I was like, okay.
No, but it was different. I wasn't used to it. As opposed to if it was a black family, I would have been cool with it. But most definitely hearing like the stories that he's told about me to them, and that was my first time meeting them. I've never met them to that time, and it was cool. At first it felt weird. I went home. I came back, visited them. The nurses knew me, and even like the black nurse, she pulled me to the side and she was like, "Why are you here?" I was like, "This is my friend. He's in a coma."
Yeah.
She was like, "But you're black. He's white."
She said that?
Yeah, she had to be probably 25, 24.
okay. So she felt.
Yeah, but I was like, no, like, this is my friend. I mean, if it was Marcus, I would still come, whether you're black, white, brown, orange. It doesn't matter. If you're my friend.
In her mind, she was probably like, well, he cool with all these white people?
I mean,
so you...
Yeah, I mean, to me, and as much as I love my black people, I try never to see color. I try so hard not to see color. Only because, and trust me, I'm probably in this room, I'm the black of all black people, probably. But
wait, what?
What I mean by that, as far as just black stuff, but in general, I guess what I'm trying to say is, for her or just for anybody, they felt as if, why are you so close to them? You know, I'm just like, because I don't see color. I'm going to give you a fair chance. Now, I know behind closed doors, they might say like the N-word. I don't know that. But,
they do.
Yeah, I mean, but for me, though, I also make fun of, you know what I'm saying, white folks.
I do too.
So
I make fun of them all the time.
Exactly. So for me, I mean, I go home, me and my girl will crack jokes about them. I'm sure they go home, they crack jokes about us as well.
But are they jokes? Well, okay, so
Are mine jokes as well, though?
I don't know.
Because I can be serious about. I mean, because my jokes are sometimes serious because you only joke about what you've experienced before, same as them. So they might make fun of black people about how we eat or how we get rowdy or we eat chicken and watermelon, but we also make fun of them about how they talk. Oh, Becky, or they're privileged. You know what I'm saying? So we make fun of them as well.
They can't dance, no seasoning.
You're from Cali, right? You said.
Yeah.
But you go to
Predominantly white.
White. White, and it's probably a large mix of Asian and Indian ethnicities too. Yeah.
There's Asian.
Yeah, it's predominantly white. But I guess so our experience is a tad different just because we're in grad school and we're very secluded. So we don't interact with undergrads really. And it's not, I mean, it sounds kind of like elitist, but it's not like
it's just how your schedule goes.
Yeah, and then also it just wasn't my because like even for undergrad, I went to a predominantly white school, but it was a little bit different. Like the black community there was very like so I went to UCLA, very like proactive. Like we were having protests all the time.
Good nursing program.
Black community was very, 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 very tight. It's not like that here. So I don't really. I kind of just keep to my basically her. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
You know, I was listening to another podcast, and this guy made an interesting point about black culture, like in particular music. We are very quick to welcome and ingratiate outside races, you know, if they can rap or sing, but vice versa, we don't get that. Like, there's that kid that made that country rap song.
Little Nas X.
Yeah.
They took him off the billboards for country.
His song was climbing up the charts, and then Billboard took his song off the...
Too much bass.
No, they said it wasn't culture. It didn't meet the culture expectations of what country music is.
But the guy was making what I thought was a valid point of, like I said, we ingratiate outside races or ethnicities if they can sing or rap.
Macklemore.
Right, but you know we don't get that same response, you know, on the other side, and it just goes like to what you said. I think with our people, like we weren't brought up that way. You know, back in the 40s, 50s, 60s, majority of those people, they were brought up in a culture of hate, to hate people of color.
We're not taught to hate, man.
Right, we just weren't brought up, so we're like, whatever if you can do it, come on in, you know. But for the other side of the fence, we don't get that. I just thought that was an interesting point.
Yeah, that's a good double standard.
Yeah.
No, that was a really good segue into our what's being slept on topic, which is double standards. So we'll be talking about double standards in terms of the way that our communities view and evaluate violence. So violence that comes from outside the community, so like the police, for instance, versus violence that exists and is perpetuated within the community. And fair warning for y'all, like this is going to be really hard for me to talk about, but we're going to get through it. Not that you really probably need an update. Because like I said before...
other than just the arrest.
Like if you have a pulse, you know that Nipsey Hussle was murdered on Sunday. So he was shot multiple times, and this happened around 3 p.m. This is in broad daylight, by a young man who opened fire at close range in front of Nipsey's business, and it's called Marathon. And so he was shot 6 times. A few of those were in the head, and I don't know. I think to me, it seems like he was probably dead before they got him to the hospital. I mean,
There's a video circulating.
I
haven't watched it yet.
The story goes from what I was told was the guy was like he was like a known snitch, right? He was within Nipsey's crew or circle, and you know, Nipsey had told him, like, you're not welcome here no more. You can't come in this store. Don't come on this block. And I guess the guy felt that he was embarrassed. It was a group of people in front of the store. The guy felt embarrassed, left, came back with a gun, shot him, and I don't know how true this part is, but that Nipsey was trying to like struggle to get up. Then that's when he came back and
he kicked him.
Right. So it's like it was personal, and it just and the guy was like, you know, I guess he felt a certain way about being embarrassed in front of his people. It was just ridiculous, but
So since Sunday, you know, there's been a lot that has unfolded in LA. A lot of that has been, you know, people paying their respects and paying homage to him. So I want to, as the like, you know, the LA person, clarify a few things. So one, like, Nipsey was not just a rapper. To LA, he was not just a rapper. He was a leader, socially and politically. He was doing, the stuff that he was doing in the community was crazy. Nobody else was doing it. So, I mean, building STEM programs, putting up housing complexes, the money that he was giving back. Like, this was not a wealthy man. This is not an A-list celebrity.
He was creating jobs.
Yeah, like creating opportunities.
He had a car wash, barber shop, his marathon clothing store. So
employing formerly incarcerated people. And so, so a leader in the community, but then also the face of Rolling 60s Crip, which is a very, they in the last few years, there's been a lot of calm. And I think that a lot of that had to do with him, which, since he was killed, there have been maybe 10 murders since then. And I think that a lot of this, obviously people were talking and are afraid of the retaliation. But then because they found out that this person was from within the hood, they were thinking that maybe that wouldn't be the case. But no, like in terms of people that bang in LA, it doesn't have to be, you aren't going after necessarily the enemy. You want to inflict pain on anybody. You want other people to feel what you feel. So it doesn't matter. Like, people will go out and shoot anybody, which is why, like, my thing has been, people need to stay in the house. If you have a son, a brother, a cousin, a friend, it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter. It's not about colors. It's not about what you look like. It's not how square you are or how gangster you look. It's not about any of that. If you're in the way, like, you're in the way. The city feels this. But
don't you think that that's one of our as Black people, that's one of our main issues?
Yes. I'm glad that you're taking it.
It's horrible, and
what's the main issue?
Senseless what happened to Nipsey, but like she just said that there's been several other murders since Sunday.
Yes.
What is that? It's perpetuating the cycle.
Yes.
Of our people. What is that going to do? What is that going to solve? That gets us nowhere.
You can't be in the mind of them, though.
No, I'm saying that, but what I'm saying is those subsequent murders since Sunday, where has that gotten us? We're back in the same place. Now you have Nipsey's funeral, God rest his soul. Now you have 10 other funerals that are going to happen.
If you kill somebody close to me, and I know where you stay, I'm going after your mom. I'm going after your son. I'm going after anybody that's close to you because I know it's going to hurt you. I don't want you to die. I want you to feel how I feel.
But what does that? I get it, but what at the end? What does that solve?
It would bring closure to me, though.
But you're also assuming, the question that you're asking is assuming that these people are thinking rationally or logically. It's not about solving anything. He's not coming back. So even though they found this person, and I've been having a lot of conversations about this with my partner, right? So he's from New Jersey. They operate under a completely different code.
Big up to New Jersey, East Orange.
Okay, so he's from Newark. They operate under a completely different code. There, it's like you only go after people that owe you money, that took money or drugs or something from you, that directly disrespected you intentionally. In LA, that is not the culture. And it's not even, there is this assumption that it's also about like territory and streets and all of that. It's not. It's senseless. And a lot of times, I don't know who I was listening to, but somebody was saying that, people there it's kind of like it's like demonic almost, because it's like they wake up with the intention of like, oh, if I catch somebody slipping today, like they're dying, like I'm gonna kill them. Like that's their mission. They don't wake up with jobs. They don't wake up for like to go to work to take care of their kids. No, like this is a very specific subset of the community, which also is one of the things that I wanted to highlight. Like the hood is not a monolith. The Black community is not a monolith. My hood doesn't look like Third Ward, doesn't look like Fifth Ward, doesn't look like Chicago, doesn't look like Richmond. Like even like I'm from Compton. Compton doesn't look like South Central. South Central, like this area where they killed him, that's probably one of the most violent. I would say the most violent like districts in LA. And they've been chilling for the last few years because of him. And there have been like in these yesterday like major like people that are, I guess, like they're not retired. You can't retire from gangbanging. But, like, people that are not really active anymore but that are very well respected have been saying that, you know, there are going to be thousands of people over the summer that are going to die because of this. Because this man was the face
Who said that?
Shoot, what is his name? I can't remember his name. But he's from LA.
Mm-hmm.
He used to bang, but he moved out. And it's just, I mean, because every summer is bad. You know, like every summer.
What is that
dangerous.
gonna solve?
But it's not gonna solve anything.
But
When are we? It's an emotional thing.
Yeah,
I get it. But when are we going to say killing each other isn't getting us nowhere?
Why kill to begin with, though? He started. Somebody has to finish it, bro. It doesn't.
No, nobody has to finish it.
It
but
does.
the way they look, but we're not talking. Like I said, we're not talking about rational people. We're not talking about people that are trying to make the community better. The person that was trying to make the community better, that they respected and they saw the light in him, that he was killed.
Right.
So now it's like, well, you know, it's kind of like I equate this, and it may not be like this for people that are not from LA, but he was kind of like the Martin Malcolm of the community.
That's
and
a
so
high
once
praise.
you take that person, then what? Like, I don't know who y'all have here. I think the person that I've seen most visible is like Trader Truth.
Yeah.
And so it's like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, it might be a little bit bigger because LA is only because of gangs. So if you're able to unify people across like Bloods and Crips and like Grape and all of this stuff, then you're kind of like
I would just
chosen.
say this, bro.
Like that, yeah.
There's probably a lot of people upset that the cops actually got him.
Yeah, no, definitely.
There's a lot of people upset about that.
No, understandable.
And he went to a mental health place to go, of like all places.
So what do y'all think about that? Do y'all? Because I don't buy that.
I don't buy it.
No, it is.
Mental health is
there's nothing
excuse.
mentally
wrong with him.
I don't not buy that. I think that there's something mentally wrong with all of them. But no. There's for sure PTSD, and if you look at a man and a man telling you to leave his business,
he was embarrassed.
But do you hear what you're saying?
I hear no.
He was embarrassed, and his ego got
But
bruised.
we don't know the actual context that took place that day. So there's probably more to that story. I know old boy called like the radio show and he said what happened, but I'm sure he didn't say everything that happened verbatim.
When have you ever been so embarrassed that you wanted to kill somebody?
There's been several times, but
you would actually take a gun and kill somebody.
But I'm raised differently though. So for me to get upset, everybody's been hurt or been like beat up. Hey, let me go get a gun. Like me, I own a shotgun. My shotgun stays in my trunk, but I would never shoot nobody.
But why is that?
Why is what?
That you would never shoot.
Because I was raised differently.
But aside from you being raised differently, you also have the mental capacity to process that, like, this person irritating me or whatever is not worth their life. Especially if it's somebody that you know has the reach that Nipsey had. Like, this man had the power to create peace.
Correct.
In a community where there isn't much. It hasn't been much in the past, like, 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
Like, who knows if we'll ever see that again. As faithful and, like, hopeful as I want to be, like,
Well, it's now up to the people in his inner circle and others who have the ability or the influence to continue
his family.
To continue his dream and his vision. Like Nick Cannon said, he's gonna continue the documentary on Dr. Sebi, make sure it gets out, right? So there's somebody that's stepping up that's gonna continue what Nipsey was doing, you know, and we think we need more of that. I think violence only begets violence, but it doesn't get us. We're just doing this. We're just doing this, and then we sit on social media. We want to RIP. I'm sad. I miss all. You know, which is fine. Pay your respects and condolences. But then, outside of the phone, we're just doing this.
We can't comment on a situation that we've never been put in before. Like me, I don't know what I may do if somebody kills my brother right in front of me. I don't know what I may do.
True.
Because
I get your.
My
True,
emotions
you have a
are
good
going
point,
to come
but
out, so I may do something that I'm not really thinking. You know what I'm saying?
But I'm just talking about
on
on a larger scale. If we don't like when people bring up the term black on black violence, But
that's a whole different subject to me, man.
No, so that's actually the subject that we were gonna talk about for today. So I want to question why we have such an issue with that. So like we are very quick. I mean, we talked about it in this episode, right? When there is when there's police violence or police murder, we will protest. We will riot. We will riot within our own communities and burn our own shit down.
Which doesn't make sense either.
Black Lives Matter doesn't exist to me.
Okay, so hold on a second.
It doesn't.
Okay, so hold on. So we will do all of those things, right? We will talk about it until days end. But when it comes to crime within our own communities, right? So the term has been coined black on black crime. A lot of people are very resistant to that term, so we can call it whatever we want. Right now, I'm calling it violence in the community just so that people will listen.
Can I say black on black crime?
Yeah, you can say it.
Cool.
Yes. So one question that I want to lead with is, why do you think that it's so difficult for us to discuss, or not even discuss, but criticize our own communities for the very thing that we're able to criticize white people
Social
for?
media.
No, but okay, so beyond social media, right? So even bigger than social media, because this has been the case for a long time. At least where I'm from, right? Gangbanging goes back to like the late 70s, and so we've had a generation of people come and go, and we don't talk about it. We don't like there's some anti-gang, like some gang prevention organizations and stuff like that, but they're not very well respected. Like it's not like people like these little like, well, he's not little, he was 29, Eric Holder. Like it's not like these people are, listening to them. Like, yeah, let's stop the violence,
Yeah,
right.
Like why do you think that our community is so bad at like criticizing ourselves?
I'm going to just say it against social media, man. I'm not a fan of the Black Lives Matter, just for that one simple point. A white man or a white cop kills a, unarmed black child. Everybody's, on social media, Black Lives Matter. They're giving their thoughts and opinion, or their conspiracy theories, which I think is the dumbest thing of all time. But when it happens so black on black, my condolences, R.I.P., or they'll come to their, conspiracy theories or stuff like that. We don't have that same energy at all, never, when it comes to black on black crime. I don't know why. I think people just don't care. I think we're probably so used to it, but
we're so used to seeing a black man kill another black man, or a black woman, or a black child.
I actually want the answers for that.
Yeah,
but we don't get that same energy.
We're desensitized. Like, and I'll go back to the comment you made from the incident Sunday. You said it was several murders since. We're desensitized. It's like, because right now people are living and feeding off of emotion and pain because of this loss, right? And rightfully so. That somewhere people are just, like you said, killing anybody they can, right? And that's it. We're just so desensitized.
Man, you did.
We see it we see it on the news. Every morning when we wake up, it's on the news, 10 o'clock news. Somebody, death is everywhere all around us. And it's just, as a society, it's just, it's another day. Like, you could, like, every morning, me and my girl, we turn on the ABC 13, and we hear about tragic killings from the night before. I was like, oh, all right, well, I'm going to make my lunch and go to work. It's like, we don't think twice about it. So that's just the world that we live in. But go ahead.
Let's take Nipsey's body out of it. Let's just put, like, another black man there.
Uh-huh.
Would he have got that same attention? I think not.
No.
But if it was a white cop who shot a black, boy there, it would get that same attention.
It would probably be rioting on Crenshaw.
Like, what I don't understand is why black people have more claim to one another's lives than white people do. And so it's like
more claim. What do you mean?
We can take one another's lives, and it would not.
Oh, okay.
We wouldn't. we're not rioting for that.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, we should.
We should exactly like like you said. We should keep that same energy.
Yeah.
But we don't. And one of the things that I have heard people talk about is like one of the things that they rely on is inequality and historic like injustices and the intergenerational transmission of trauma and poverty and discrimination as a justification for why black black on black crime is not a thing, right? So it is, yes, all of those things are true. All of those things happened, but in what? Why does that have to be the end of it, the end of the conversation? It's like, no, the reasons why all of these things happen is because of racism. Okay, so that could be the reason, but then we could also hold each other accountable. We could also, question how we're going to improve things. We could also hold each other to a higher standard. Like, those things do not excuse it. Because this person has trauma, because this person grew up poor, they have permission to kill somebody, and we just look the other way.
It's sad, man.
I think it's just a lot to do with mentality. Just even going back, like you said, when the gang culture starting from the 70s on the West Coast, like when we found out, obviously on social media, about Eric Holder, a lot of people were saying, they wanted to go after him. People was gonna be looking for him, and right. But I didn't see anybody post or tweet about, let's come together and place a hedge of protection around Lauren and their child. Or like he was supposed to meet with the LAPD to talk about gang violence. Mm-hmm. Nobody talked about that. Mm-hmm. It was just about Nipsey's life was taken. We got to go take his, right? And I get it, but I'm just saying I wish our people would transcend beyond that and to start coming up with better solutions so that we can stop killing each other. So that like he said about a black man kills a black man, where's Black Lives Matter? Mm-hmm. A white person kills a black person, they're all on the TV marching us. And
I hate that with passion. I hate it.
And I never looked at it that way, but it makes sense. I just don't. I even go back to what you said about if somebody like killed your brother, whatever, and what would you do? And if I'm in this, I don't know what I would do. I would hope that I would have the restraint not to want to go pull a trigger, but we just don't know. But I would hope and pray that I wouldn't want to go and retaliate, because what would it do? It's not going to bring back my loved one. But, you just never know. But
I have a question. Do y'all have any white on Hispanic crime or?
Well, I mean, when I was thinking about this, I was actually, so I'm from Mexico. And I think about, like, right now, everyone talks about the cartels. And so, and then I was just thinking how desensitized I am. I'm from a really small town, and I remember when the cartel comes to your town, they do like a banner. They usually kill someone. They put their body parts under the banner, and the banner says, like, basically, we're here. And so then oh shit, the cartel's here. And so I remember when that happened in my small town, and it was just kind of like, it was at the beginning when I was in high school. So it was kind of at the beginning when we were learning about how terrible the cartel was, but it wasn't that huge of a deal. And then I just remember, like, last week, my uncle telling me it still was. I haven't been to Mexico in over 10 years, and because it's not safe. Because especially if you're American, if you're Mexican, if you're American, you're still fair game. So, I mean, you're actually more valued because your family has money. They know your family has money because you're American. Even if you're so poor that 12 people live in one apartment, you're American, so they can get some money out of you.
Yeah, I remember in college, one of my roommates' uncles had gotten kidnapped.
People get
really?
kidnapped a lot. Yeah, so my uncle,
they were kidnapping him all the time.
Yeah, last week was like, oh, by the way, it's still not safe to come. They just kidnapped a bus full of 30 people. We don't know where they are. And I heard that, and I was like, oh, okay, I guess it's not safe. But it's like, it doesn't even, and then I'm so mad about like ICE, about, you know, the immigration, about the children being in cages, about the border thing. And then I'm thinking, as we're having this conversation, no one talks about like the fact that our community, like we're destroying each other and we're really mad at the Americans destroying us. But we're like, what about our, you know, we're just, so in terms of white on Hispanic crime, like, we're really mad about Border Patrol. We're really mad about immigrants being detained. But it's like we stopped being mad about, like, even the Mexican government, there used to be a war on drugs, and they said, we're not doing that anymore. It's like the Mexican government gave up. And so after that, it was just kind of like, I guess for me personally, that's just Mexico for me. Like, Mexico is just unsafe. Mexico is just the cartel, and it's really sad, but I don't know why we're not angry, like why my community isn't angry about that. Like, did we just give up, or is it just expected? It's just.
And one thing, black on black crime is a stigma that was made up by the media. Like, don't quote me, but I remember listening to D.L. Hughley, and he told the story of where they got that term black on black crime was because a large proportion of the black population in like certain major cities were all living in the same area.
Yeah.
And so when you have those killings, well, that's because that's the only people that they're around, right?
Yeah.
Black people are only around other black people that you're going to kill. And so the media made up that term black on black crime. There's white on white crime.
Yeah.
There's Hispanic on Hispanic.
You're more likely
Like,
to be killed.
Right, by the people that you're around.
Yeah,
and
by
so
your own
it just
race.
so had like the media coined that phrase, and right, the country just ran with it, and it's been decades and decades and decades of that term black on black crime that was made up by the media.
Yeah.
It's a proven fact that you're, like you say, you're most likely to be killed by whoever you're around.
Yeah, or by your own race.
Like you're just not gonna turn on the news and hear, oh, white on white crime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're just not gonna hear it.
Numerically, there are more white people in this country, so like there's actually more crimes, more white people.
White
are
on white
murdered.
crime.
Yeah.
But right. But once again, the media,
Yeah.
you don't talk about it, so nobody brings it up in social media. But
Yeah.
it is a known fact. So
Yeah. And it's like, you know, I understand the resistance to the term, right? But that doesn't detract from the behavior. Like what's going on.
Of course.
So it's like ultimately, and you know, I've had a lot of these conversations with people who I, you know, grew up with and went to high school with and stuff like that, who didn't go. It's like, you know, like I've left because like I went on to pursue like my degrees and all that stuff, right? But I have friends that is not the case for, and a lot of them have, you know, kind of pushed me on my perspective because it's like, oh, you think this way because now you're around all these white people. And it's like, no, I was there looking at y'all like, why are you killing each other? Like we have a bigger enemy, right? And so that's my perspective on why I look so much more negatively at black and brown people killing each other than I do at white people killing each other. Like, I feel like a lot of white people are bored. I feel like a lot of white, like, say these mass murderers or whatever that are going around killing like 50 people at concerts. Like, they're bored and they feel like, they legitimately feel like people of color are taking their place. So it's an ego thing also, but they don't have other enemies. They don't have anybody else that's attacking them. So it's like, yeah, if you want to take out your anger and your frustration on your people, like, it's bad, right, to kill people. But I think that it's even worse when you're being attacked from all sides. So we're being attacked from the outside and the inside.
Right.
So like, how are we to protect ourselves?
Like I said, our mindset has to change. We have to start lifting each other, right? In a lot of cases, we're our own worst enemies. It's black people to each other. That has to change. It has to start from within, and then reverberate out. Yeah. Otherwise, we're just gonna keep doing the same thing, going around in a circle, crabs in a barrel. Yeah. And that's just how it's gonna be.
So, what obligation do you think that? Well, okay, so I don't know about y'all. I don't want to make assumptions about you.
Go ahead.
So I typically refer to myself as hood adjacent because, like, even when I was, like, you know, because, like, it's funny, but in all seriousness, like, even when I was, like, growing up, like, I wasn't, you know, like, I wasn't in the hood. Like, you know, like, it's like I recognize that I'm
You
different.
were, like, a few blocks away from it. You were right there.
Well, see, no, Compton doesn't work like that. like basically all of Compton is the hood, but you can live next door to somebody that's banging and not interact with them. So that's exactly.
I know what you
basically,
mean.
yeah. So
Okay.
that's basically what it was. It was like, you know, I like my house was in, you know, in proximity to
Yeah.
like people that bang. There's like a lot of different.
Do you
a
still
lot
have
of
people
different
like
hoods.
back home that are like kind of their ear to the street, or like have you talked to anybody like what's the climate in
Yeah,
Cali
so I
right
talk-
now?
Yeah, I have like a younger sister and brother who now have friends. Who right now have friends that are still very involved, right? I personally do not.
So you haven't
And
like
it's
spoke to
like,
anybody?
I haven't lived in Compton since I graduated high school.
Okay.
So in 10 years, yeah, no. So I haven't, and because of the direction that I went in, you know, a lot of those ties kind of fell off.
Yeah.
Right.
Just because of time. And so I think that so even when I was growing up, like my parents were like, we weren't allowed to hang out with the kids on our block.
Yeah.
You know, it was like we were sent, like I played a lot of sports, and it was like, those are the friends that you're going to have because their parents also want them off the street.
Mm-hmm.
That's
So
how my
we're-
aunt was.
Yeah, so you're going to hang out with kids whose parents have the same intentions for their kids as we do.
Yeah.
No matter who you live next door or across the street from. So I, like the experience of, you know, coming to school, like say leaving school on a Friday and coming Monday, and it's like, oh shit, like, you know, like you remember so-and-so that used to sit in that corner over there, like he got killed this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
You know, or sitting next to the girl whose boyfriend it was that got killed, or whose brother or whatever. Like those weren't, like the people that got killed were not like my friends.
Right.
But you know, like they're siblings. If they were in the honors classes, then I knew them. Or the people they were in relationships with, then I knew them. You know, or so-and-so's father that got killed. Like, so the experience was very different, but I didn't, what I have seen is like the way that I would give back to the community was not to be in it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was not to be there. So like what Nipsey did is not something that I would do. I would not go and
back.
open a store and then be
Really?
there every day.
Because
Like I would open a store,
But not just
or
that.
I would give resources, but I would not be in the store every day. It would not be where somebody knew exactly.
But they
where
have
to
to see
find
you.
me.
He was he was a boots on the ground
Yeah.
guy,
Exactly.
like
Which,
very hands on in his community.
I don't think we're
helping
taught
the
to be that
kids.
way
I mean,
anymore.
I'd
He
rather
was
see you.
rare. He was a rare special dude.
Because we
Yeah,
lived that same
that's very
lifestyle.
rare.
Yeah.
My aunt, she raised me back in Jersey, but she made me go to a Catholic school. I didn't have a choice. We had murderers and people around like New Jersey, but my Peabody, you're going to Catholic school. You come home, you only go out Friday and Saturday. Sunday, like you stay in the house. My friends play basketball, they play football. That was it. But I think for me, I would respect somebody who was from the hood to be there every day because it's almost like voters. You want to vote for that person that knows the people.
even if their life is at risk.
That knows the people. I mean, that's just for me though. My money will go towards somebody that knows my life, that's been there.
So that's what I'm asking you. So do you think that, because I think that that's the expectation that a lot of people have. And so my question is like, even if you would not personally harm this person, knowing, like for instance, if you knew 2 years ago that by Nipsey opening his store here, 2 years later he would be killed, would you still have that same expectation of him? That this is what you do to give back to the community.
Hindsight is 20/20.
But it doesn't always have to be.
But
I
I would
don't-
still go though. That's just me. I love my people. I'm gonna be there. I don't want to have a business and never be there. Just so I can say, hey, I have a business and I'm doing this is for.
Not to just have the business, but to actually help the community.
Yeah.
To give people jobs.
But they
to
wanna see
bring
you.
resources. But like, I know they want to. They want to see you because you're Nipsey Hussle.
No,
but like,
they want to see the person that was from the hood. To like Nipsey, that's them.
I have a notion on that. I feel like if Nipsey ever thought that his life was in real serious danger, because if you look, and I hate to keep harking back on it, but him being at his store however many days a week, like they were just standing outside chilling. Like somebody was like said that he had just like taken a picture with a child. Yeah. If for him to have his daughter there, you know, now obviously he is a rapper celebrity. I'm sure he takes proper precautions when he's in public, right? Security.
But not there though. Not there.
You know, we don't know. We don't know.
No, I can tell you. Like the way, literally, yes, he was a celebrity to like, you know, to us. But within the community, he was just regular.
Well, yeah, right.
It's like Jay Prince, though. Jay Prince, he's from a certain part of, like, Houston. Mm-hmm. He goes to these places. But there's kids who still look up to Jay Prince. Yeah. They want to be Jay Prince. So when they see that person or they see that product come back to where, you know, they're raised at, they feel that sense of, like, okay, I can do it. Mm-hmm. I can be him. I can't say that if you're never there. Oh, he just opened up a place and he gave us jobs, but he's never there. He's with the white folks, chilling.
Like I don't think he would have his daughter there if he felt it was imminent real danger when he was out at his store.
No, yeah, I think you're right.
So that incident that happened, like it was so senseless and so far off. Yeah. That it's like who could have imagined that? I remember seeing it when I picked up my phone. Just so by happenstance, I picked up my phone, and like we didn't record Sunday, so it was just we was just chilling Sunday. Me and my girl, we got up, we went to the gym, did all this other stuff, and literally, I kid you not, I picked up my phone. I'm walking to the den and sit on the couch, and my girl goes, "We had a good day today." And I was like, "Yeah, we did." And then I see a group chat, and I said, "What the fuck? No way." Mm-hmm. It's like, that's just how crazy life is. Like, we go about our day every day. Like, if I hadn't picked up... every day? Yeah, if I hadn't picked up my phone, because my phone, if I'm at home, usually it's just in the room on my nightstand, unless I need it. Mm-hmm. If I hadn't even picked up my phone, I may not even know until Monday morning. That's just how crazy it is. Yeah. It's it's just a senseless thing. Like, it's like I said, I understand why he felt a need, or maybe God put it on his heart to actually be seen back in his neighborhood where he was doing all these great things. I see it, and if he felt like the risk was worth the reward, I don't fault him for that at all.
So you wouldn't go back, I'm assuming.
Well, my perceptions have changed a lot over the last couple of days.
I'm not talking about a couple of days. I'm talking about like in general.
So in general, no, that was not my plan. Was definitely go back. Like I was thinking that I would go back to LA next year. Mm-hmm. And not that I feel personally at risk. Like so, mm-hmm. I mean, being from Compton and being a woman is the experience is very different than men. So, like, I'm not as worried about my sister as I am
there's
about
a code. There's a code that women and children.
There was. Now I'm not so sure about the code. Okay. Because technically, according to the code, Nipsey would be alive still. So the code is a little bit different, and it changes generationally. Like, so I feel like, and that was also why I was shocked that this man is damn near 30, because that's my generation. Like, that's not how they acted. Like, there were certain people, like Nipsey is an OG, like that he would not be touched. Because it's like, you're too well respected.
Right.
Like, too well respected. There are people under you.
Gods fall. Gods do fall.
No, and which is why my question, like, I'm like, what the expectations that we have of people, I feel like might be a little too high. And I think so. Yeah. So my expectation was that I would go back and that I would help to in whatever way that I can. Like, I don't have the money right now to be like just throwing resources at the city, right? But whatever I could do, I would do. Now, the way that I'm thinking about it is that we have to, if there are people that quote unquote make it out, and by make it out, I don't just mean like, get out of poverty. I mean, make it out alive. Mm-hmm. If you make it out and you have this much influence, you have a duty, a responsibility to protect yourself. Because a lot of what you have the capacity to do can die with you. And I think that also does the community a disservice. Like, not to say that there aren't, because this man was a rapper, right, and he had a bunch of celebrity friends and a bunch of people that make a lot more, or that made a lot more money than he did. There are people that will continue a lot of his legacy, but that's not the case for everybody. For a lot of people, they are the single person that carries their entire family if they make that level of money. If you die, then where does that support come from? Who are you then able to motivate if you are dead? Now, yes, there were tons of people that looked up to him, right? Tons of kids. But now that they've seen what happened to him, why would they want to follow in his footsteps? Why would they want to give back to their community in the way that he did when the community just takes you out? And so I think that there's a responsibility. Now, obviously I'm not blaming him. Like, his approach was just different than mine.
Yeah.
But my opinion is that now who's going to take care of his family? Who is going to continue to pour these resources into the community? Especially what's about to happen. Especially, not even what's about to happen, what's happening.
You compared him to Martin Luther King Jr.
Malcolm.
I specifically said for LA. Like, I know that I know I have,
because there were kids watching him. Okay.
Yeah, like I have a lot of. I was with somebody who's from Connecticut when I found this news out, and I was like, oh, I have to go home. Like, I need to be emotional, like, by myself, and like talk to my friends that are there that are feeling this, because it's just I don't really, like, the only person that I can equate it to for y'all would be Trey the Truth, and I'm not sure how y'all feel about him, like, if he's like, this prolific person, but
he does a lot of philanthropic work here.
Yeah.
So
yeah, like the way that we looked at him was like, he banged, he was a rapper, but he also had this influence that, like.
But that's why I think that somebody will pick up the ball and continue his legacy, continue all of the programs for the kids in the businesses. I really do. I think he left a huge impression on people to say you can come back. You can come back where you grew up at, and make change for the better. Now, whether you choose to be a face there on the regular or you provide your money and resources, that's personal choice.
Lauren London won't let that fall,
Yeah, right. I everything that he did or he was gonna do, I think will continue. That's my thought on it.
He can't die, man. Like, I get what you mean.
I'm just a little pessimistic right now. Like, I'm in my feelings.
I get what you mean.
Well, don't lose faith in your people.
Kids are gonna follow. Like, I get what you mean, and I respect what you mean, because I gotta look at both sides. But like I said, there's somebody who looked up to him. Probably some may say, well, then fuck it. But there's others that are gonna be, okay, hey, I can do more than like Nipsey. People always want to be better than like somebody else. There's going to be a kid in the next maybe 33 years from now that's going to be better than Nipsey. And why? Because he looked up to Nipsey. So just how, you had your, you had your influencers back then. Some got shot, some died, or whatever. There was somebody to pick up that, piece from them and keep it going. So, I mean, Nipsey still lives.
Yeah. He's only gone in the physical, but the legacy will live on. His spirit will always be there. They made
like a mural of him already, right? I think they're
yeah. So.
And anger is an important part of grieving. So I think that it's okay to be angry at our community and to be angry that this happened. But I agree that we can't just stay angry. I feel like there's definitely, for me too, I guess like there's always that moment where you realize like, wow, people are shitty. And this was one of those moments. And it reminds you kind of how naive I was to be like, oh, well, good people just won't die because they're good people. And it's like, no, sometimes that will happen. And so I just think like it was a new realization of, okay, like something shitty can happen to a good person. Now I can, that's just going to happen sometimes, and I'm not going to be able to stop it. But I think what everyone's saying is right. Like, we have to, from this, something good has to happen, because I don't think that's what, I just don't want that to be the end. Yeah.
Okay. Well.
Miss Callie in the building going to preach.
I was like, oh, nah, we got to, I don't know, man, something. Like, as tiny as my platform is, like, And I don't know. It's like I'm like a perpetual optimist always, and then this I was like, whoa, this is unreal. Like, what happened to our code? It felt
like Sunday, and even like yesterday. So like when I'm at work and I sit at my desk, like I listen to like interviews and ESPN through YouTube, right, whatever, and just even scrolling on YouTube, and I couldn't even, because it was just full of Nipsey Hussle clips and interviews and music videos. I couldn't even bring myself to just watch it or listen to it because it was like just the cold-blooded way that it happened. It was like, yeah.
And I have my best friend lives. Well, I was about to tell y'all she lives. She lives maybe a half a mile from where this happened, and I even had to tell her be careful. And again, typically, women are fine. She rides the bus, and she has to walk home, and it's just and she's telling me no, it's you could feel it in the air,
it's thick.
Yeah,
I was just about to ask you.
Yeah, people are scared. People are legit scared.
I couldn't imagine. It's crazy.
It's not something that you can rationalize. It's not we used to think, or I've heard that people used to think that as long as you don't have on red or blue, as long as you don't look like you into some shit, then you're fine. No, that's not the case. People just have to not be having a good day that day. Wow. It's that simple. And I was thinking that, all that was necessary was for people that, like I said, made it out alive and maybe out of poverty to go back and serve as, a beacon. But how do you communicate with somebody that doesn't want to be communicated with? How do you?
Good question.
I don't know. But yes. Okay, so thank y'all so much for joining us. Can you tell people where to find you?
Yeah.
Go ahead and tell them, man.
On Instagram, you can follow us at social_complex_. Same thing on Twitter. We do not have a Snapchat. Don't add us on there. Facebook podcast group. Type in Social Complex. You can join our Facebook group. We put a lot of posts up there, just daily discussions about just random topics.
Debatable topics.
Yeah.
Make your mind work.
Okay.
I love to, debate with people. I'm going to just say that.
You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at bespoke_God.
Ladies and gentlemen, how you doing, boys and girls? I am Peabody, a.k.a. Social P. You can find me on Twitter and IG under social_P. Plain and simple. Please do not follow me personally on Facebook. I will not hit the follow button or the like. But if you want, like Marcus said, hit us up on the Facebook group chat. I love to debate with people. We have plenty of topics. And check out our IG page. We have a couple of videos that y'all may want to argue me down with. And
our website, if you want to get a T-shirt, if you want to listen to any of our episodes, www.socialcomplex with 3 X's.com.
There's 2 X's.
Oh, it's 2? My bad, 2. I'm tripping. It's not a porn site. I'm sorry. Social Complex. Social Complex with 2 X's. I apologize.
2 X's.
Okay. Well, thank y'all so much for listening. Sorry this episode was such a downer.
It was actually good.
Yeah. Typically, I'm a lot more upbeat than this, other than when we talk about, people being murdered. And this whole episode just so happened to be about that. And then I had to be in my, in my feelings and in my LA bag. So I thank y'all so much for listening to that. And for y'all for engaging with me and for y'all coming on this this podcast for the first time and letting me yell at you.
Thank you for having us. Do people know about that big rock on your finger?
Okay, so, what do you mean, do they know I'm engaged?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I know.
Okay.
Y'all went to, Brazil or something like that, right?
Yeah.
That's Brazil.
Don't be trying to act like you
no.
Yeah, I do my homework.
Are you keep
scroll through my page,
No.
a few lines of my Instagram?
No, I scroll through both of y'all.
Oh, okay, good for you.
Are you keeping your listeners updated on your wedding plans? You keeping them in mind?
Well, there also aren't any plans yet.
What?
It's gonna be next year.
This is
sometime.
groundbreaking right now.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I don't really talk a lot of. I'm really bad at that, talking about myself. It's not.
Really?
Yeah. But anyways, okay, so thank y'all so much for listening.
Yes.
Selma.
Oh, yeah. As always, please feel free to email us at woke.ishpodcast@gmail.com. Send us any recommendations, any feedback, anything that you want us to shout out. Also, follow us on Instagram at wokeishpodcast. And you can follow us on Twitter at
wokeishtalk.
Yes, I still haven't learned. Season 2, still haven't learned our Twitter. So thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.